You're in the kitchen with Vita and the family eats. And today we're going to be doing a demonstration on zucchini stuffed boats. Great one-pan dinner for summer, and zucchini is always so prevalent, and they are just beautiful as always this year. I got a really good sized one at the public market yesterday, just enough for a good sized panned dinner. And this is going to be a real easy put together dinner for you, and it's so nutritious and it's so satisfying. You'll want to make this again and again. So let's get started. Our very first thing we're going to do is get our induction pan heated up. I've got 2 turns of olive oil here in this fry pan. And let's see here. We're going to go here, hit start. So this will warm up very fast. That's why I like to use this in my demos. It's easier than going back and forth to the stove. So I use my induction heating portable stove for these demos whenever I can. So you're going to need just a few items, okay? We've got a full zucchini. I've just cut the ends off of each, and I leave the skin on. You don't want to get rid of all that nutrition ever, no matter how you're cooking your zucchini. So that got scrubbed with a solution of cold water and a teaspoon of peroxide, just to make sure the skin is all sterilized and re-rinsed again. We're going to use a diced onion, and we're going to use a mix of, I have Parmesan cheese, mozzarella cheese, and Gruyere Swiss cheese, all shredded in a combination for the stuffing. We're going to do in this pan first, we're going to get the oven, or I'm sorry, we're going to get the pan good and hot for our onions. So in the meantime, we'll get those all diced up. I'm going to go follow the veins that are already in your onion about halfway through. And if you leave the stem on the back of the onion, it's going to hold it in place for you. And you don't need a lot, but you want to make sure you got enough for both full-length boats. This is a beautiful presentation dinner. So if you're going to have company and you know it's maybe just 2 couples, this is a perfect way to do it. You just need 2 zucchinis to put this together for each person's portion. And there'll be definitely some left over. Okay, so I take about half of a small onion. Make sure it's got a real good small dice on it. And make sure your pan is screaming hot. Your olive oil is already ready in the pan. Make a couple turns. I have to be careful not to lift this too high, because it's a safety feature where my induction pan goes off temporarily. Comes right back up. So you're going to get those in there. It's got a little sizzle to it, so that's good. And we're going to turn it up. Get this nice and hot. So there's your onions, and it's just enough, I would say, for both boats. You don't want it to overpower it. A zucchini is a very delicate vegetable, so you don't want the onions to overpower, but you definitely got to have some in there for this recipe. In the cup of seasonings today, I'm going with some dried oregano, basil, garlic powder, Old Bay, salt, and pepper. It's really all you need for this. You want to keep it a little on the mild side. Oh yes, I did also put in a half a teaspoon of ground coriander. Nice bright flavor. Something a little bit different. So you can see that the pan is good and hot. Onions are sweating out. Once they start to show just a slight bit of translucency, I like to start adding some of the herbs. You get those sweat out. Not all of them, just a little bit. Save the rest for when you're going to top these beautiful zucchini, called stuffed zucchini boats. So there's that. Next, I'm going to add, I have a half a pound of sweet and tangy, called magic sausage. And basically all it is my butcher's recipe for mild Italian sausage. So we'll break all that up now that the onions are translucent and have started to sweat out. So you don't want them totally gone before we stuff these beauties and it goes into the oven. I'm going to get this chopped up and let this brown. Now it's going to throw some grease, obviously, because it's ground sausage. You can also use ground chicken here, ground hamburger, whatever you prefer, but because the zucchini is such a mild vegetable, I like to go with an Italian sausage. Now, some are more apt to lean towards the heat. My family doesn't go too heavily for the heat on sausage. So, by all means, if you want to use a medium or even a hot Italian sausage, certainly could, because it'll definitely stand up to the mildness of the cheeses that I chose, as well as the zucchini. So yeah, so this is browning nicely. Meantime, while that's going, I'm going to put these aside and show you how we cut up the zucchini to make our zucchini boat. Now, the absolute worst way to do this is standing the zucchini and slamming down with a chef's knife. That's just going to get you in trouble. Number one, you're going to probably cut yourself. And safety first. It's not something to mess around with. But you want to make sure it's lying flat. Now what I like to do is I like to take just a thin cut on the bottom. As you can see, I've just thin cut off a slab. And look what it does. See? It just makes your vegetable stable. It's not rocket science, but it is clever and it does work. Don't throw anything away. I dice all that skin that I cut and put that right into our meat mixture. Okay? And next, give this a little stir. Make sure you want it browned, you don't want it burnt, for sure. Doing quite well. Onions are still holding up nicely. That's why I say don't go with too much of the olive oil. It's not necessary because your sausage is going to throw sorry. Let me start this one. There we go. Turn it up just a little bit. I mistakenly shut it off. Okay, so we've cut the little slice off the bottom of your zucchini to make sure that it lays flat, because they generally are not perfectly straight. There's always a little curve to them. I'm sure any of the ones you're seeing are too from the farmer's market. And remember from last time I told you to keep your chopping board safely and firmly in place is to wet a paper towel, set it right underneath it, and it secures your board for you, so you're working safely. Take your chopping knife, hold this firmly in place, and just eyeball the middle, take it down, start to move your hands away from the direction of the blade, obviously. Try to keep it as straight as you can. And there you go, you have two boats. Almost perfectly even, not quite, but that's okay. I'm going to take the one that is a little deeper, and I'm just going to slice a little bit more off so they're uniform in the pan. And you dice up whatever pieces you've taken off. We don't waste anything. You have to keep in mind also, you want a nice deep glass pan to go in the oven to catch any drop of stuffing, the filling. And also, zucchini throws a lot of liquid. So you don't want to use a very shallow pan by any means. You want something to collect that liquid. Okay, so we've diced all that up. Put that right in here too with our meat. Now, people use different things to stuff this with. Some like stuffing. I prefer meat and cheese And I take, I'm going to show you a little trick with a bag of croutons. We just crush those down and add just a little tiny bit of breading on the very top before they go in the oven. And that's just a little bit. That's not going to be a full thing of stuffing. We don't want that. So we're going to let this brown up. And in the meantime, while this is browning, I'm going to start taking the middle section of our zucchini and shaping it out. You can take a mini ice cream scoop or a melon baller or a spoon, whatever you prefer, and just start removing the center. And we're going to follow this through all the way up for both boats. While I'm doing that, we're going to take a quick break, and when I come back, we'll show you how to put these all together and go right in the oven. That easy. All right, our meat is all browned. We're going to spray our beautiful deep dish glass pan and get our scooped out boats. As you can see, all of this has been taken down quite low, and we took all of this inside of one and put it in a container to drop in some sauce or to add to some soup. And we utilize everything. I don't waste anything. This part of the boat was a little bit smaller, so I added it right to the stuffing of the sausage. So we'll have a little bit of that in there as well to keep that moist. That zucchini will keep that meat good and moist. So then we just start assembling. Super easy here. First thing we're going to do is start spooning our beautiful sausage and onions and zucchini into the boats. Now this does not get much easier. You can do this with your kids. You can do this with your girlfriend or boyfriend. And makes for a beautiful fast dinner that you guys can throw together. Now what I'm doing actually for the demo is this is going to be tomorrow night's dinner. I've already got today's dinner all done. So I'm going ahead, and as long as I was going to do a demo, I figured might as well get tomorrow night's dinner done. And I hope this is something you guys will try, because as I said, there's always so much zucchini available. The past couple years anyway, I've noticed at the farmer's market, and you know, you can do so many different things with it. We'll probably touch on it in a few weeks, and we'll be doing zucchini bread. There's zucchini bread, there's steamed zucchini, there's stuffed zucchini. You can slice zucchini and make mini pizzas, low carb with no dough. And you just get a good large zucchini, make the big round discs, and put your cheese and pepperoni and a little sauce right on top. There's so much you can do with zucchini, it's ridiculous. I could go on and on. So you got a little bit left over here, which I think I judged pretty darn good, actually. And believe me, this won't go to waste. This could go right into a soup stock pot that I will be doing. Or it could be dropped into sauce. Don't waste it. It's also great for a frittata or if you're doing an omelet. Okay, so we've got our meat and onion and leftover zucchini all in there, into the boats, nice and full. Okay, and I'm going to take what's left of our seasoning cup, which is the ground coriander, the oregano, the Old Bay, salt, pepper, and some garlic powder. And we're just going to sprinkle the top just a little. You don't need a lot because we seasoned the meat already. So get that on there. Next, I told you about our blend of cheeses. Again, we have shredded mozzarella, we have shredded Parmesan, and shredded Gruyere. Gruyere is a Swiss cheese. Okay, so next, mix all those together. Grab a little handful. Start distributing it. Make sure you get all three types of cheeses in there. And don't worry about spilling it, because that's the best part on the very bottom of the pan. We always fought over that stuff at our house. It gets nice and crunchy and crispy. Oh, that cheese is the best. And whatever else will stay stuck right to the zucchini So we're going to bake this in a preheated oven at 375. And I would say, depending on your oven and your stove, I would go 30 minutes and check it. Now I cover mine first just to get that steaming action going and not to disintegrate the cheese all at one time. So I would cover it with foil for the first 15-20 minutes. The last 5 or 10, take it off. Maybe if you really want to toast it up, you could put it under a low flamed broiler and toast that up. Now here all I have are some crushed Italian seasoned croutons. And we just put a little bit on top as an extra crunch, just for a little texture because you got a lot of soft here. And this can be just enough to add that little bite each time you cut into your zucchini boat. And it's just a few. You don't want a lot because we're trying to keep this a nice low-carb dinner. And it actually is, other than, you know, you got the cheese, but we also got mostly vegetable. And, but it, like I said, it'll give you a nice little texture. I take 1 large leaf of basil per boat. And I'm out of, and my garden's not replenished it yet. I'm out of my flat leaf Italian parsley, and I'm crushed, but you can easily use dried if you need to, and that's what I did within my Italian seasoning. But I'm a big fan of fresh flat leaf parsley for flavor, and it aids in digestion, so it goes in just about everything at my house. So there you go. There's that. What you can also do with this is you could, if you wanted to make it a little more Italian, you could take a spoon of tomato sauce over top of each one, but I would do that before you serve. It's going to get too sloppy in the cooking process, and you want this to crunch up and be the shining star. So that's optional if you want to use tomato sauce. We're going to put this in the oven, and when I come back, I'll take it out and show you just how beautiful this bakes up and what a great dinner this can be for 2, or you could cut them in half and easily for 4, no doubt. This is the beautiful end result. I let them cool so I could handle them, and look at these beautiful stuffed zucchini boats. The cheese all melted evenly, and I'm going to show you one plain and one that you can dress with a little bit of homemade sauce. And you can make them any way you want. You can cut them in half, you can keep them whole, but we're going to do one that is going to be dressed with some tomato sauce. And we will leave the other plain. And we can have this reheated again. Just put your piece in the oven or put the whole container in the oven and cut them in half and have a little bit of each type. But I hope you've enjoyed it either way, and please remember to give us a thumbs up and share, and don't forget to check out the end of the video with the email address and request the written recipe for this. Take care. We'll see you soon.